Hello and welcome to the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by Final One Standing. It's new from William Hill, 18+, begambleaware.org. I'm your host, Sam Ellard, and alongside me is Lee Phelps, as always, from William Hill. We're going to go game by game in the Premier League, and Lee, with his wisdom, is going to try and pick out some prices that might jump out for you all and might make you have an even better weekend, perhaps. Lee, we're recording this the morning after a pretty hectic and crazy night of Champions League football, which was plenty of fun. Got to start with Final One Standing, the original 500k jackpot. Come on, we must be getting down to the last few people here, surely.
Yeah, well, last week morning, by the way. Last week,
Morning,
over 60% got through again. So we keep
Wow.
getting to these round 13 now. Yeah, like you say, £500,000 in this jackpot. Huge. Just over 1,600 players left. Remember, we started out with just under 300,000. But you can tell it's different now because 76% of players have gone for
Brentford.
Yes.
Again,
20% have gone for Villa. So 96% have gone for two clubs. So this is where it gets really tasty.
Well, I mean, Brentford home to Burnley, Villa home to Wolves. So you could see all getting through. Yeah, this is getting to the fun bits of it. League us off. Let's start then, shall we? Brentford Burnley. Only Arsenal and Man City have won more home games and scored more home goals than Brentford in the Premier League this season. They're 13th in the table, but just 5 off the top 4, very congested. Only Wolves and West Ham have conceded more Premier League goals than Burnley this season. Burnley in 19th and have lost their last 3. Hard to see anything other than a home win here, Lee?
Absolutely, yeah. Brentford 4-9, the draw 17-5, Burnley 11-2. That's a 69% chance for Brentford of winning this. So, as we always do Brentford win more than 7 out of 10 times in this fixture?
I think
if
so.
It's played in the, I think so. So I think it's a touch of value. I mean, probably the first time many people will have backed Brentford at 4-9, but I think it's going in Accas. You've got to get your picks in for the new 20k jackpot for Final One Standing at 3 p.m. and there'll be lots of people, as we said, over 75%. Hoping that they get through again. Look, they've been really poor away from home, Brentford, and they've started to drop down the table a bit. But at home form, as you said, only Man City have beaten them at home. They've won against Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester United, Villa on penalties in the League Cup, and then in the Premier League, and they drew with Chelsea. Burnley have lost 5 on the road, and the only place they've won was at Wolves. We don't need to say anything about that. The lowest shots on goal record in Premier League history since 97-98. I got that one off Flashscore, by the way. I should give a bit of credit. I guess it's, if you don't like the 4-9 and you're not going to use your Aka boost and start an Aka, then maybe you're looking at how they win it. Dango Awatra scored first in 2 home games this season, scored in 3 of his 5 games against last season's promoted sides. Might be a way in. We all know about my DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin love affair that never really got started. Wasn't reciprocated.
Just end it, mate.
Then I found Igor Thiago.
That's better. At least he's good.
We spoke about those double-figure seasons in Hungary and in Belgium. He's about to do it in the Premier League. He's actually got 10 goals in all competitions. He had that season with a knee injury when he came in to replace Ivan Toney. Now they're finally getting their £33 million worth. That's how much he cost them. The bad news is the value's gone. He's now nearly 2-1 on to score in this game, which I think is incredible. So you probably want to go with Watford to score 23-10, over 2-1. But yeah, I think Burnley are there for the taking. I'd be very surprised if Brentford didn't pick up all 3 points.
And that's what we've got time for on today's talkSPORT Golf Preview Show. I never thought anybody could get as excited about Brentford Burnley as you have there, Lee. Unbelievable stuff from you. We move on to Man City. Also, Dango.
I'll just do a little bit on Chelsea Arsenal later on.
Yeah, just a tiny bit at the end. I think Dango Utara will be delighted with your pronunciation of his name as well, by the way. Man City versus Leeds. City losing to Newcastle last weekend, 7 behind Arsenal. City have won 23 of their last 25 Premier League games against promoted sides. And since losing their first home league game of the season against Spurs, City have now won each of their last 5 at the Etihad by an aggregate score of 16-2. So obviously City are going to be short here, Lee. So what is the value bet then in this game? Where can we get? What can we add maybe to some sort of Aka to try and get these odds up on this game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, the 1-4, the draw 5-1, Leeds a 10-1. Leeds fans hold a kind of hope somewhere in their hearts that Haaland will play for them one day, don't they? He scored 2 goals against them at Elland Road last time they met there. So the machine holds no sentimentality for his birthplace. He could score his 100th Premier League goal against them in this game. He's 11-5 to get 2 or more goals. Now, that's probably where I'd be looking. I think he scores.
Nice.
You know, look, they've had a shocking few days, lost to Newcastle, lost to Leverkusen in Europe. Perfect game to bounce back for them with a full team out. Obviously made wholesale changes in Europe. I think this could be a bit like Leeds' trip to Arsenal earlier in the season. I think we could see 3 or 4 goals here. Leeds do start well, by the way. So don't be surprised with City's sometimes fallible defence if Leeds get a surprise goal early on. If they do, then in play, you'd be back in City all day long. But I think City -2 on the handicap. Haaland to score 2 or more, you get impact sub with that as well. Incidentally, the Leeds boss, Daniel Farke's the favourite in the Premier League manager to go next market as well. Leeds, down near the relegation zone, get back in amongst the favourites to go down as well. So that season's starting to slip away from them a little bit.
Okay, that's good stuff. The third and final 3 o'clock game is Sunderland and Bournemouth, the 7th v 8th. Sunderland haven't won in 3. Bournemouth haven't won in 3. How's this one going, Lee?
Yeah, 2-1 Sunderland, the draw 9-4 and Bournemouth 11-8. Don't really understand that. I mean, they're both running out of form a little bit. Without Semenyo and Kluivert, they struggled last week, Bournemouth, but they did come from behind still, like 2-2 draw against West Ham. Sunderland put in, I think, their worst performance of the season at Fulham. But of course, last time at the Stadium of Light, they drew with Arsenal 2-2. I can see them having just a bit too much for Bournemouth. They've conceded the second most goals on the road, Bournemouth. That's 16. Burnley have got the most with 18. Sunderland have only conceded 5 at home. So I'd be with Sunderland. I think the price is a bit big at 2-1. If you like your corners betting, by the way, Bournemouth in their away games average the most in the league, over 6 a game on the road. That's 2-1 for over 6 corners for Bournemouth. Sunderland average 3.5 at home. So Bournemouth -3 corners, bit niche, 12-5. But you can stick it in a bet builder as well.
As long as you're not talking about animals, then I'm absolutely fine with.
I'm going to try and stay away from that this week.
Good stuff. There's 3 o'clock games. They're done. You like home wins there. Perhaps a home win in the 5:30 game, Everton-Newcastle. Big wins last time out for both sides. Everton beating United, Newcastle beating City. Everton winning 2-0 against Fulham and 1-0 at United in their last 2 Premier League games. They've not won 3 in a row with a clean sheet each time since April 2024. And having beaten Man City last time out, Newcastle now looking for consecutive Premier League victories for the first time since the run of 5 in March and April of last season. But we know, Lee Phelps, the Newcastle on the road in the Premier League are awful.
Yeah, and I think the feature of this weekend is these overpriced home teams. Everton at 9-5, the draw 11-5, Newcastle 6-4. I think that's a decent price for an Everton team. By the way, look out for the epic boosts on the Premier League TV games. We'll have one on them this weekend. I think that Everton and Sunderland double's well worth a look. Just over 7-1 for Everton to win at home against Newcastle, Sunderland to win at home against Bournemouth. They've been solid at the Hill, Dickinson. Only defeat came against Spurs. Admittedly, they haven't had the toughest run of games, but as you said, Newcastle are woeful away. Won 1 in 11 in all competitions. Obviously, the one they won was Union Saint-Gallen. They played 3 pre-season games, and they even lost those away from home. Cannot back them at 6-4. Grealish has more assists against Newcastle than any other side, 4. I think it's worth a look at maybe cards. Trippier and Burn. Trippier 24-5 to pick up a card, lining up against them, or Burn. Illiman and Guy obviously playing really well as well. So I think it'll be tricky for them. Newcastle are pretty well disciplined. So maybe look at the fouls. Grealish has won the joint most fouls in the league this season with 27. Dan Burn, incidentally, conceded more than any other defender this season, 23 fouls. And you can add those into your bet builders as well, fouls and tackles and cards. So I think Everton home win, but I might have a little play on the bet builder.
Nice. We've got an 8 o'clock game on Saturday as well, which is Spurs-Fulham. Spurs down to 9th, no wins in 3 in the league. Fulham picking up a big win against Sunderland last time out. How is this for a stat? Of the 17 ever-present sides across the 2 seasons, none have won fewer home games, lost more home games, or earned fewer home points in 2025 than Tottenham, which is absolutely remarkable. But no side have earned fewer away points than Fulham in the Premier League this season. So Fulham not good away from home this season. Spurs the worst this calendar year at home. Should we just say 0-0 draw, forget about it, move on, Lee Phelps?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what I said. I just put tough to call draw. The only question I had around this game was whether it was worse being a Tottenham fan or a Liverpool fan at the minute. I don't know the answer to that.
You can ask me and Abby that on Sunday.
I absolutely will. 23
to
20
Grimsby.
Tottenham. Look, the Grimsby, we know where we are. We haven't got any kind of delusions.
You'll never sing that.
23-20 Tottenham. So they are odds against. The draw is priced up at 23-10, the same price for Fulham. Yeah, you'd have to go with, if you're picking a winner, I'd have to go with Tottenham because Fulham lost 5 straight away games. They scraped past Wickham on penalties in the League Cup. But then Tottenham, how are they coming off the back of that 5-3 defeat to PSG in the week? I'd go draw, 23-10.
5 games on Saturday are done. 5 games on Sunday to come. This is the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by William Hill, 18+, at gambleware.org. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the talkSPORT Goals preview show brought to you by William Hill. It's 18+, at gambleware.org. Terms and conditions apply. It's Sam Ellard and Lee Phelps from William Hill taking you through all of the Premier League games this weekend. Also, Lee, is that a new studio or is that a new home studio? What's the vibe? I like it. It looks smart.
I'm in work today. So normally I record from my garage at home and I'm in work. So you probably can't really tell, but in honour of your love of cricket, I'm in our boardroom, which is called Headingley. There's a cricketer there.
I would like to not talk about cricket, not think about cricket until next Thursday, 4:30 a.m. Well, I'll be back into the cricket, but I'm not sure what's worse as a Liverpool fan, Liverpool, or the cricket at the moment. Both are absolutely appalling. Lee, we're going to continue our game-by-game preview of the Premier League this weekend. We move to Sunday, an early game Sunday, 12 o'clock, Palace United. United, after winning 3 in a row, now haven't won in 3, and United have won just 3 of their last 26 Premier League away games against London sides. All 3 of those victories coming against Fulham. So apart from Fulham, when they're in London, they don't like it. Meanwhile, only league leaders Arsenal have conceded fewer goals than Crystal Palace in the Premier League this season. That's 9. How do you see this one going, Lee? It feels like a hard one to call.
Yeah, another stat for you as well is United haven't scored a goal against Palace in their last 4 Premier League head-to-heads. Lost 2-0 at Old Trafford, 0-0 at their place, 4-0 the season before that, and 1-0 at Old Trafford. So, yeah, Palace have got the sign over Man United, 7-5 for the home win. Again, quite like it. Draw 23-10, Man United 9-5. Palace are just looking like a really solid team with dangerous players like Mateta, like Pino, like Sarr, like Munoz, all of whom can get you goals. I'm not telling anyone anything they don't already know. Everyone's been watching Palace and have seen what they've been doing. Now it's becoming a part where you're not that surprised by a really good Palace performance. Mateta has got 3 in 3 goals against Manchester United, scored in that 4-0, scored in the 2-0 as well. The value has vanished a bit for him to score. So a bit like Igor Thiago. So maybe look at Pino's 4-1 anytime, Munoz 4-1 anytime. Ismaila Sarr's 2-1. So I think I'd be looking for those. Could be a really good game for a bet builder. United obviously have a good attacking players as well. I'd be mindful of Palace playing Thursday night, which I would say that for all the Europa Conference and Europa League teams. They've had a mixed bag of results on the return from Europe. They've played 2 home games on return and drawn them both at home against Forest and Brighton. So that's my only slight concern over this fixture. I'd probably play a bet builder and leave the outright result alone. Both teams to score. Shots on target for Mbeumo, shots on target for Sarr.
I thought you were going to go Palace there. So if you had done, you'd backed every home team to win so far, and that would be odds of 77 for 1, 77 to 1 at the moment. And I got a funny feeling our next game you'll definitely go for the home win because it's Villa versus Wolves. Villa are a flying 4th in the table. Wolves rock bottom still. I mean, when you mention Palace and their form on the back of Europe, Villa have won all 4 of their Premier League games played immediately after playing in Europe in midweek this season. The only side with a 100% winning record so far. And Villa have lost just 1 of their last 24 Premier League home games, which is pretty impressive. I mean, of all the home games this weekend, this is the one Villa that I like the mostly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the price is price is short, but he'll go in at 8-15, the draw 16-5, and Wolves are 5-1. They just literally changed. I'm looking down because they literally changed in the last 30 seconds as I looked at them. The only issue for Villa is playing in Europe, but this has to be the cornerstone of your ACCA if you're using your ACCA boost on Sunday, doesn't it? Wolves huffed and puffed against Palace, but they got their house blown down in the end, as usual. 6 straight losses in all competitions. No goal in the last 3. Villa home win.
Forest Brighton, also a Sunday 2 o'clock game. What odds are jumping out here, Lee, for you?
Yeah, Forest 17-10 at home to Brighton. The 9-4 the draw. 6-4 Brighton again. Another home team who, why wouldn't you expect Forest to win? Sean Dyche looked as chuffed a manager as I can remember after that Liverpool win, and fair play to him because he gets some stick, doesn't he? I love his nod to Brian Clough with his trackie on. He seems to be really enjoying life. They put 7 past Brighton in this game in February. Remember, I fancy them at home again here. To be honest, Seagulls are decent, but nothing to be worried about on the road. Good at home. Brighton are one of Wolves' 2 points this season. They drew at Molineux, Brighton. Most carded team in the Premier League as well, with 32 going into the weekend. Forest are only on 20. So, yeah, I don't see why we would be surprised if you saw Forest 2, Brighton 1 at the end of this game.
Yeah, I think I like what you were saying earlier about all the home wins. This is the one where I'm maybe just leaning towards sitting on the fence and going for a draw. But yeah, no, because a game that could go either way. Lee, West Ham, Liverpool. Liverpool, I think I'm losing count of defeats, but my maths tells me it's 9 defeats in 12 games, which is absolutely remarkable. Before we do the actual game and match odds, just how much change has there been in Slot being the next to lose his job? Obviously, I'm guessing he's getting sort of shorter and shorter day by day.
Yeah, 2-1 second favourite behind the Leeds boss to be the next manager to go. We've even got a market out for the next Liverpool manager as well, which is not something we...
Got Xavi Alonso's favourite, have you?
No, Klopp's favourite, actually.
It's
3-1. Then Alonso, 4-1. Areola 6-1, Glasner 7s, Nagelsmann 9s, Inzaghi 12s, so is Postecoglou 12s, so is Zidane and Unai Emery, and then you get up to kind of 14-1 and bigger. But yeah, it's a strange one at Liverpool at the moment, and I can't be backing them at 8-11 away from home at the minute. But look, we could say this every week, I guess, against teams like West Ham. These are the sort of games where Liverpool just go and rack up goals and rack up points. They've scored 5 against West Ham in 3 different games in the last 5 head-to-heads. But what is there about? I mean, I think last year when Man City were going through this funk, I kind of, every week I was like, oh no, Man City will come good this week. Oh no, Man City will come good this week. And every week it was like, oh my God, I've missed another value punt here. West Ham are 16-5, so over 3-1. The draw is 3-1 as well. Liverpool are 11-1 now to win the Champions League. They're 20-1 to win the Premier League. The only worry with West Ham here, and for Liverpool fans, West Ham start well, but they really struggled to maintain it for 90 minutes. 2 up versus Bournemouth. We watched them in the talkSPORT Gold studio. They were terrible in the second half. Bournemouth drew 2-2. They were 3-1 up against Burnley, remember, the week before, I think it was. Conceded a second and were hanging on a bit at the end. Liverpool have made a habit of battering them. If they go down early, though, Liverpool, I wonder if they've got it in them to come back. At some point, I've been listening to talkSPORT this week. I think it was Gabby Ogbonlahor was saying, someone has got to go old school and get a few of each other around no manager in the dressing room, no assistant manager, no senior staff. We have it out each other now and get to start delivering performances, because you can't just keep coming out in front of the media and saying, oh, we don't know what's going on. You're football players. Start winning games and start at West Ham. But I can't. That's what they should be doing. The draw 3-1, maybe.
Yeah, I thought that happened. I thought that happened after the Forest game. They sort of had, open, heart-to-heart discussions, and PSV was possibly as bad as it's got. My heart tells me, Lee, that.
I was saying PSV are unbeaten in 15 before that. Won at Anfield against a much-changed team last year.
Yeah, that was a different situation last year. Liverpool.
Of course it was, but you still got the confidence as a PSV team of thinking, we can beat this team in whatever form. They're lacking confidence. They've been scoring goals for fun. PSV were no rollover. I was on talkSPORT 2 previewing the game, saying that 9-1 PSV pre-match was huge. Crazy price.
Yeah, it's my heart tells me, Lee, that you can't sack a manager who won you the Premier League last season, but my head tells me that we're just seeing the same thing happen game by game. We're seeing no improvements. It's almost impossible to find any sort of positives to clutch onto. But I don't think that Arne Slot is going to be sacked. I think Liverpool are going to give him more time. So yeah, fascinating to see how that goes. And yeah, people might like that price of West Ham. We finished the weekend with a Sunday 4:30, and it's a big one. Chelsea-Arsenal, second v first. Arsenal 6 clear of Chelsea, and Chelsea won just 1 of their last 11 Premier League games against Arsenal and are winless in 7 since the 2-0 win of the Emirates in August 2021. I like this Chelsea team, Lee. They're young, they're energetic, they got great players going forward. They got a dangerous attack. We might see a bit of Cole Palmer, maybe off the bench. But this Arsenal team just look, well, for most of this season, pretty unstoppable, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they look so good. We talked last week about, before the North London derby, about how do they come back from the 2-2, the first little knock on their season. Well, North London derby happens, box ticked. Then we all say, well, can they back that up with a game against Bayern? Tick. And they just keep ticking the boxes. The 2-5 to win the title now. They're 27. Yeah, it's hard to say at this stage of the season that the title's over, but you just don't see who's got the consistency to rival them. You know, Man City second favourites, 130. Chelsea now third favourites. As far as this match goes, Chelsea are priced up at 9-4. The draw's 23-10, and Arsenal at 6-5. People are talking about Chelsea being a threat, and I think they genuinely are a threat. They will be a threat at times during the season. Don't think they'll have the staying power. They haven't beaten Arsenal, by the way, since August 21. They haven't won against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since August 2018. The last 2 at the Bridge have been draws. Don't mind that. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I think Cucurella versus Saka is really interesting. Saka has 3 assists in 4 games against him, against Chelsea. The Blues fullback averages 3.5 tackles in his career against Arsenal's star boy, and a yellow card in each of his last 3 against him. So I think, there's a bet builder shaping up here where you could go Saka assist, Cucurella card. The Spaniard famously got the better side of him in Euro 24 final, setting up the winner, of course, in the end as well. Does Esteval start? Is he enough to?
He has to after the week. He has to.
You think so, wouldn't you? But then, does that mean Arsenal's suddenly? Does it mean that Chelsea aren't quite as solid and stable with him in the side? Are they more creative, and does that allow Arsenal to kind of attack a bit more? I hope he does start, because he's an absolute breath of fresh air, isn't he? I wonder though if Chelsea's tactics, Sam, would be sit in, try and play for a 0-0, and hope we get a piece of magic to beat Arsenal 1-0. I think if you go and try and play Arsenal, they'll tear you apart.
Just to finish off with, Lee, you mentioned Arsenal very short to win the Premier League, and I know it's early in the season, but I find it very hard to see a way in which they don't win the league. I'm looking at William Hill pricing up the Champions League outright, and you guys have got Arsenal at favourites at 10-3, and then second favourites are Bayern Munich, a team who they absolutely hammered on Wednesday night. Then you got PSG at 13-2. So the Premier League, they're looking good. I mean, but you guys think, as things stand there, they're the best team in Europe, and it is hard to argue that at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, we saw last year, didn't we, what the difference between the league phase and when you get down to it. PSG, of course, being an amazing example, and Liverpool as well, in a way. So, yeah, but absolutely, yeah. I mean, what's not to like about them? And we'll have trophy multiples out for them as well. So we'll be able to look at kind of, them winning multiple trophies. And to be fair, there'll be a decent price, but, they're so short for the Premier League now that a lot of the value will be going about Arsenal.
Lee, really, really good stuff. That went really quickly. And I'll see you on Sunday, and bring some energy bars with you. 12 till 6:30. We're doing the extra couple of hours. It's a real super Sunday on talkSPORT Goals.
It's my favourite time of the week after this half an hour that we do. And the more time I spend sat next to you, Sam, the better.
Lee, you're a good man. This has been the talkSPORT Goals preview show, brought to you by Final One Standing, new from William Hill, 18+, gamblerware.org, terms and conditions apply. Lee, thank you very much. talkSPORT Goals, Sunday from 12 o'clock. We start with Palace Man United. We got 3 games at 2 o'clock, and then we finish with Chelsea Arsenal. We'll see you then.